In breathtaking succession tonight, the following historic events occurred.
The president has fired special Watergate prosecutor Archibald Cox, and Mr. Nixon has directed that agents of the FBI seal off the offices of the special prosecutor, the former attorney general, and the former deputy attorney general, and we've never heard anything like that before.
If Nixon was allowed to get away with this, there was no turning back, and it was unclear whether the rule of law would survive this moment.
Over the weekend, 5 men were nabbed in the Democratic National Headquarters here in Washington, seemingly preparing to tap or bug the place.
In June 1972, a break-in at the Watergate Hotel would set off one of the most notorious political scandals in American history, whose unfolding drama kept Americans glued to their television sets. The burglars had ties to President Richard Nixon's re-election campaign. And by the spring of 1973, a new Attorney General, Elliot Richardson, promised to appoint a special prosecutor who would investigate whether Nixon's inner circle was involved.
Richardson pledged there will be no White House influence in the prosecution.
After 7 people refused to take the job, Richardson turned to Archibald Cox, a Harvard law professor.
This was a no-win assignment. Everyone was going to be angry. And Archibald Cox told me that he anguished over this. And in the end, he said, who better to do this than a 60-year-old law professor who isn't going anywhere in public life anyway?
All I can do is pledge my best. I am confident that whatever else I shall be independent.
As Cox began his investigation, Congress was holding hearings on Watergate. And soon, there was a bombshell revelation.
Mr. Butterfield, are you aware of the installation of any listening devices in the Oval Office of the President?
A former Nixon aide revealed that the White House had secretly recorded the president's conversations in the Oval Office.
I was aware of listening devices. Yes, sir.
Richard Ben-Veniste was one of the prosecutors working with Cox.
We certainly were astounded. We had no choice in doing our job but to pursue that evidence through whatever means necessary.
Assuming the tapes might shed light on the Watergate break-in and any potential cover-up, they took an unprecedented step. They subpoenaed the White House for 9 of the tapes.
This was something that had never happened before. And it was something that was terrifying, frankly, for Archibald Cox. He worried constantly that if he made a misstep here, he could show that, in fact, the rule of law was meaningless in the end if a president defied it.
Nixon refused to turn over the tapes, even after Cox obtained a court order.
The president announced that he would not obey a court order to surrender the Watergate.
Instead, Nixon offered to provide a summary of the tapes and ordered Cox to stop using the courts to obtain any more material from the White House.
Archie Cox was not a person who was comfortable in opposing a presidential order, and he was under great pressure to fold.
On Saturday, October 20th, he held a nationally televised press conference to explain that he would reject Nixon's offer and keep pressing for the tapes.
Millions of people were watching. They saw a man of absolute integrity who was trying to do his job.
I read in one of the newspapers this morning the headline, Cox Defiant. I do want to say that I don't feel defiant. In fact, I told my wife this morning I hate a fight. Some things I feel very deeply about are at stake. In the end, I decided that I had to try to stick by what I thought was right.
Cox concluded he had taken an oath. He had promised to take this investigation wherever it went.
The special Watergate prosecutor, Archibald Cox, says that he will not obey President Nixon's order to stop using the courts to try to obtain the Watergate tape recordings. He says he will not accept the president's compromise and that he will not resign his job.
Then we went home. It was a Saturday afternoon, and everybody knows that Washington's a very quiet place on a Saturday night.
The Tonight Show will not be seen tonight, so that we may bring you the following NBC News special report.
Good evening. The country tonight is in the midst of what may be the most serious constitutional crisis in its history.
The special prosecutor in the Watergate affair has been fired under orders issued by the President of the United States.
Elliot Richardson has resigned his post as Attorney General.
Deputy Attorney General Ruckelshaus, his successor, was ordered to fire Archibald Cox. He refused.
Richardson recognized ultimately that his career wasn't the most important thing here. It was much bigger than that.
Agents of the FBI, acting at the direction of the White House, sealed off the offices of the special prosecutor.
The President of the United States had defied a court order sending the FBI by force into our office to essentially seize our files. This was a clear violation of the law by the highest elected official of the land.
If the president could come in and fire the person investigating him and shut down the office, there no longer is a rule of law that governs.
The incident came to be known as the Saturday Night Massacre, and it looked like it might be the end of an independent Watergate investigation. But then, something surprising happened.
More than 50,000 telegrams poured in on Capitol Hill today. So many, Western Union was swamped. Most of them demanded impeaching Mr. Nixon. In the Congress, for the first time since the Watergate case began, talk of presidential impeachment no longer sounds like idle chatter.
There was a firestorm of outrage. Nixon had to be hiding something very important. What was it? The public did not allow Richard Nixon to get away with it, and that turned the tide.
The acting attorney general appointed another special prosecutor who subpoenaed even more tapes, leading to a landmark Supreme Court case holding that the courts had power to order the president to turn over the tapes.
The Supreme Court ruled 8-0 that President Nixon must turn over 64 subpoenaed White House tapes.
That opinion stands for one of the most important propositions in American law today, that no person, even the president, is above the law.
The tapes showed that Nixon had tried to stop the Watergate investigation just days after the break-in, all but guaranteeing that he would be impeached.
I shall resign the presidency effective at noon tomorrow.
It was the end of his presidency.